Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet yet again for another tutorial. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on I should say part one of our summer shrug. Yay! And we have been waiting a long time for this, guys, and I have had to mess around with a few stitches and I changed the pattern completely from what everybody thought was happening, only because we had a lot of people who weren't sure on the stitch that we did use. Okay, now this particular pattern is a 2-row repeat and it's very basic. It's to help everybody else out who was struggling with the stitch that I did choose. Okay, now I'm using this particular thread here, a Sheepy's World. You don't need to use that one, Sheepy's Whirl. You just need to use a thin size cotton, which is a number 2 for people overseas. The locals, it's just a 3-ply. Okay, all right, there is the details. Okay, as you can see, it does call for a 3.5 or a 4mm hook. It is 60% acrylic. Yours truly is using the 5mm hook today. Okay, I actually am using a 5.5mm just to start the round with, because I started this particular tutorial yesterday. I did record it and everything, and I used the 5mm hook and I struggled to get the stitches in the next row into the chains because the chains were too tight. So I did the chains in your 5.5mm hook. You don't need to. If you have loose stitching, then you're welcome to use just the 5. But I used the 5.5 for the chains and I used the 5mm for the rest of the project. So we won't be using the 5.5 for anything else except that. Now, let's talk about measurements. Okay, I'm going to be really brief with measurements because everybody's measurements are different. I'm sorry, I'm trying to avoid the lighting here. Sorry, guys. Everybody's measurements are different. So what I did in the tutorial is I kind of give you a rough amount of measurements. Okay, and you need to decide for yourself whether or not that would be okay for you. I do a small to medium size, and then I do a large to extra large, and then you kind of need to work out whether or not you are bigger or smaller. Now with the large to extra large, it actually goes right into your extra large if you stretch it out enough. Now because we are using a larger size hook, like I said, it did call for a 3.5mm or a 4. Because we're using a larger size hook, that will stretch even more, okay? So it will be okay if you are bigger. If you are smaller, it will actually just fit you nicely with a couple of loose sides, which is what you want. You don't want your shrug to be too tight on you anyways. So there you go. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I've put here scissors and needle, but you really won't use that for this particular yarn because this yarn is all in one skein. I have worked with this yarn before and they do have tiny minuscule knots and you can actually crochet over them, or if you wanted to cut them you would need to use your scissors and of course your darning sewing needle. You will need that in the next tutorial for this part, or the next part for this tutorial which is part 2. So but today we are doing part 1 and all it is forming your I can't stretch it out for you because it won't fit in the camera. We're just doing the length of your pattern and then you're going to head off on your own and do the width of the pattern. It is just going to be a basic rectangle, so you shouldn't have any problems with it. The stitching itself is basic. I changed the stitching to be a basic stitch on purpose to help you guys out so you can see. And let's have a nice close-up of the stitch. All right, let's see. There you go. Very basic stitch. It's a 2-row repeat. All right, so I've just got that little stitch marker. You don't need it. I just popped that in there to stop my threads from coming undone. That's all, but you really don't need the stitch marker at all. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore. We are just going to get started on our gorgeous summer shrug, and it is a crochet along, so we are doing part 1 today and part 2 one day next week. Thank you so much for watching and good luck with your shrug. Alrighty guys, as mentioned in the promo, I'm going to use the next size up hook. I will be chaining on 147, which is the larger of the two sizes. If you are a small to medium, you can chain on 132 or more. It has to measure between 37 to 39 inches for a small to medium, and between 40 and 43 inches for the large to extra large. Alright. We are going to start off with a quick slip knot. Slip knot is grab your tail end, wrap it around your finger once, wrap it around your finger twice, hold it there, holding that bottom part there. Just grab the back loop and pass it halfway over, hold it there, grab the other loop, passing it all the way over, pop your hook in and away you go. Alright. Your chain is yarn over your hook and pull a loop through. 1. Yarn over your hook, pull a loop through. 2. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, chain up the amount that you need in reference to your size, and meet me back here and we'll start the pattern. Alrighty guys, I have my gazillion and one stitches here, chains I should say. Alright, we are still using our 5.5mm hook because we are going to chain up another 5. So make sure you have all the stitches you need for your row, plus we are going to do 5 more. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is take out my 5.5mm hook, replace it with a 5 or whatever hook sizes you're using. If you used the one hook, that's fine, just continue on. Now this part here, we're going to yarn over our hook. We're going to do a double crochet in the 5th chain from your hook. All right, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and there's my 5th chain right there. So pop your hook in that chain. You can put 2 loops over or 1, it doesn't matter, it's preference. Yarn over your hook, pull up a loop. Now do this very gently, don't pull it too tight. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2, yarn over your hook, pull through the last 2. Alright, so we're going to do another double crochet in the same space. That's your yarn over your hook, pop it in the same space, yarn over your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over your hook, pull through the last 2 loops. Now we're going to chain 1, just 1 for this row. Yarn over your hook, we're going to do another 2 in the same space, pull up a loop, yarn over 2, yarn over 2. Okay, do another one. Alright, so what you should have is those 2 chains and your 3 chains there. So you actually have your 5 chains. 2 chains will be the skip. Those 3 chains there will classify as a double crochet in this row. Then you've got your 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets in that 5th chain. Now you're going to skip 3 chains and you're going to do exactly that in your 3rd chain. I'm sorry, you're going to skip 2 chains. So it's, oh, I hope it's not pulling too much there. Just give it a bit of a tug. There we go, it's all into place now. So you go 1, 2, jump into your 3rd with your, without splitting the yarn there like I just did, with your 2 double crochets. There's your 1, there's your 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. A little bit fiddly this row, but you know, it'll pass. After this row, everything, believe it or not, is relatively easy. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. All right, so that's what you've done. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, skip 2. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, skip 2. Jump into your 3rd. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, skip 1, 2, jump into your 3rd. You are going to do that all the way across your gazillion and one chains, okay? And we will meet back here at the end of this row around the last 3 chains. You should have 3 chains left at the end of the row. So meet me back here at the end of the row, which is 3 chains before the end. Okay? All right, guys. Here are my gazillion and one clusters. To be honest with you, I think there's about 48 of them. So it doesn't make a difference. Remember, you are making to suit your measurement. Okay, as long as if you're a large to extra large, it reaches between 41 and 43 inches. Now you should have about 3 chains left here. Oh dear, too far away, sorry. Yarn over your hook, pop your last double crochet in that last stitch right there. So there's 1 double crochet, just like that. Okay, so you had your cluster set, and then you're just doing 1 double crochet in your 3rd chain at the end. Now, if you've messed up your count, it would pay for you to go back and check where you went wrong. Okay, so all you really needed for this pattern was a multiple of 3 plus 5 chains at the end, which is exactly what we did. So here is chain 2 and a double crochet. Now remember what I said at the beginning when I said there was 5 chains here? That is chain 2 and a double crochet. Okay, so I hope you're getting that, because after every row you will always have that double crochet and it'll jump straight into your next cluster set. Now our next row is different, okay, but I did mention in the promo that it is a 2-row repeat. Okay, so let's do the next row first. We are going to chain up 3. 1, 2 and 3. Then we're going to turn our work like we're turning the page in a book. In this space between your 2 double crochets from the previous round, you've got that chain 1 space. Not in the stitch, but inside the space, you are going to put a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So that's yarn over your hook, pop it in the space, 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and 1 double crochet. And all you're going to do is jump into your next space. So you're missing your 2 double crochets. Actually you're missing 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're jumping into that space right there with a double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and double crochet. Super easy this row, isn't it? Jump into your space. So much better than doing the first row, yeah? With a double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and a double crochet. Love, love, love. All right. Whoops, I'm all knotted up here. So you're going to do it again in your next space with a double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and you guessed it, double crochet. I'm going to pull up a loop and show you what you're doing so you can see. Okay. You'll find that this row is a little bit shorter than your previous row. So your stitches in your previous row are taller. They're exactly the same stitch. It's just that you are doing a chain 2, which is pulling at your work, which is absolutely normal. Okay. So there you go. That is all I want you guys to do in this round. Jump into your spaces. Oh, easy, easy, easy. With a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet all the way across. When you get to your very last chain space, complete your stitch and wait for me there. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of mine. As you can see, it's growing. Now, this is the opportunity now before you continue, because just in case you have messed up your measurements, okay? Firstly, check to make sure that each one of your, let's get a nice close up, move that out the way so you can see, each one of your cluster sets here, and this is what we're calling these now, your cluster sets there, is correct. So go ahead and check them, because once you, oh, this is a lot of work, yeah? It's nice and easy, but it's a lot of work. So once you mess up a row, it's nothing worse than going 3/4 of the way through the next row and finding an error, and you don't want that. So it's best to check now. And the reason I'm saying this is because when I went off air for you guys, I did another 5 cluster sets, did the whole row, checked mine and realized on the 5th cluster set that I had made a mistake. So I had to take it all undone. And you know, it happens, and these are quite large, all right? And it's just, the bigger the project gets, you know, the more frustrating it gets if you make a mistake. Now, grab your measuring tape. Now, I measured mine off air before, and mine measured around roughly around 41 to 42 inches, not outstretched, right? Outstretched would have been 44, maybe 45, but we don't want to stretch it because then it's like pulling and you don't want that. So if you are a large to extra large, yours needs to measure between 41 and 44 inches, okay, or 43 inches. And when it stretches, it could go right up to 44, 45. If you are a small, yours needs to measure 37 to 39 inches and then stretched out maybe 41 roughly. These are rough measurements. I try to give you as much rough measurements as I can so that I know it will fit you. It's kind of a loose fitting top anyway, so it's okay for it to be bigger rather than smaller. All right, so that's that. We are now on to our next row. Now this row that we just did is the first row of our pattern. So now we've got the second row of our pattern, and then, well, let's just do the second row. Let's finish off this row first. All right, so here we are. I told you to pop your cluster set in there, which I never did, so I should do that right now. So I'm popping in my last double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and double crochet just in that very last chain space. So what you should have, remember those 5 chains from earlier? Let me get a nice close-up for you so you can see the 5 chains there from earlier, right? And I said 2 chains plus the other 3 will be the double crochet. Well, this is where we need to put our last double crochet in. Yarn over your hook. Now this stitch here, the chain on top of it belongs to that stitch. We're not putting it in there. We are putting it in the stitch right next to it. So that's the double crochet stitch, and that is your chain stitch, the top 5th chain stitch before we did our double crochet before, okay? All right, so there, 1, and that's that, all right? So that's your double crochet, and that's your stitch next to it. I hope that made sense, all right? Now we are chaining up, bring that out a little bit, chaining up 3, 1, 2, and 3, turning your work like you're turning the page in a book. Now, in that space right there, you are going to do this stitch, and that is 2 double crochets, so that's 1 and 2, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Super easy, yeah? The first row is the difficult part to the pattern. The rest is really quite easy. Jump into your next chain space with 2 double crochets, and you guessed it, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Super easy. I love, 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 love. And again in your next chain space with your 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, and 2. Pull that loop. You don't have to pull it up, I'm just pulling it up to show you. All right, so that, my dears, is what you have. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love, love, love. And you know, it is a thread cotton. It's a thin thread cotton, so you're going to have the large gaps, and that is what we need. We don't want a really big gap here where the holes are about that big, and we didn't really want tiny gaps, so we just went up the hook size like I thought would be best. Now, best part, guys, repeat that stitch all the way across your row. Get to your last cluster set, perform it, and wait for me there. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this row. It does take a while to do, but it's not difficult, yeah, and it's getting easier too. So we're going to put our last cluster set in there, okay, so that's 2 double crochets, like so, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, How about that? The sun has come out just now, which is good. Which is not good because it's nearly the end of the tutorial. It would have been better before. Anyways, so we are going to do our last double crochet. Remember that stitch at the end of the row there? So that is your double crochet. You're going to do a double crochet not in there, but in that stitch right there. And of course mine is fairly tight. There it is. So we're going to do a double crochet in there. Remember, not the stitch of the double crochet, but the one next to it. Do your normal double crochet. All right, now easy peasy, next row, chain 1 and 2 and 3, turn your work. Now what are you going to do? You're going to jump into that space with the row before it. So you're doing 1 double crochet, chain 1 and 2 and 1 double crochet, 2, easy, 1 double crochet in the next space, chain 1 and 2 and 1 double crochet. If you're wanting to see where I'm putting these stitches, right there, see that 2 double crochets and your chain in the middle, you are popping your 1 double crochet in the space like so, chain 1 and 2, and then you're putting another double crochet in there, and that is all you are doing for this round. Like I said, it is a super easy pattern, 1 and 2, and because the yarn is thin, it might take a little while to work up, but all you need to do now, and this is the best part, guys, and I love this part. I love this part in every tutorial where I say, head off on your own for the week or however long it may take you to reach your measurement that you need for your size. If you are a large to extra large, and this is just a heads up, yours truly is a large to extra large, and I will be doing roughly between 55 and 58 rows. This is just give or take, right? So what you need to do is get your measuring tape, and this is the best way to do it for yourselves, because everybody's different, and everybody's crochet tension is different. So all you need to do is measure these 4 rows. Now these 4 rows measure 2 inches, okay? And what you needed, if you were extra large like me, you needed, not that much, you needed roughly 32 inches. So what you do is you calculate 2 inches is 4 rows. So the next 2 inches is another 4 rows, and so on and so on and so on. And I calculated roughly around 58 rows for me. Now that's give or take. Okay, so don't judge it on my crochet. Don't pull and stretch it, just leave it nice and flat. Just give it a nice little tug, leave it flat. Get your measuring tape, measure it across. To me, that matches exactly 2 inches. And if yours matches exactly 2 inches and you are a large to extra large, then all you need to do is 58 rows. Okay, so head off on your own and do your 58 rows. Okay, if you are a small, just do 2 inches. Every 2 inches is 4 rows. So 2 inches is 4 rows, 2 inches, 4, 4, 4. Add up your 4 rows right at the very end where you get up to, what did I say, 26 inches or something? Which is around 24 to 26 inches, roughly around there. Add it all up, and that is how many rows you'll need. If you can't be bothered adding, just keep going and going, keep crocheting until you reach your measurements. Now, if you are here in Australia, that is 66 centimetres to 70 centimetres or 71 centimetres. I'm sorry, try that again. I do apologise. That's 61 centimetres to 66 centimetres if you are a small. If you are a large to extra large, you need, where is it? 32. There, between 81 and 86 centimetres. It doesn't matter even if you did 84 or 82.5, it doesn't matter. I've given everyone enough leeway for it to fit around our bodies no matter what size we are. If, however, you are an extra large, then keep going until yours measures, what did I say for the extra large? I didn't. you will need roughly, what do we say, 45 inches to 48 inches. Between that, I would roughly do around 46 to 8, whatever, 46 to 48 inches. When we are ready to get together and work out our shrug, I will show you what it looks like on me before you go ahead and do yours. This way you can see pretty much roughly whether or not you need more rows, okay? All right, so that's it, guys. Go ahead and do your inches that you need. Meet me back here in probably about a week's time. I'm assuming it'll take us a week, guessing, hoping, wishing, and all those things. Meet me back here and I will tell you what your next step to your shrug will be. And when you do head off on your own to complete your rows, make sure your final row is the 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. All right, so this is actually classified your first row, this is classified your second row, so it's a 2-row repeat. So when you're finished, it should look like that. All right. Okay, so make sure you finish off on, well, it actually has to look like this. Let me show you. Once you're done, that's the way it should look. All right, make sure you end with this row right here. Okay, I mean right now we're up to that row, but make sure you end off with this row. Okay, all right guys, and that's pretty much all we need to do. You need to repeat that row and that row over and over and over again until you get to your desired measurements. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you do for me. And this Saturday, which is tomorrow, hopefully I get it up in time, otherwise it'll be Wednesday's live. Join me on our live. Saturday morning's live is 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Wednesday afternoon's live is 4 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time on a Wednesday. We do that every week. We will be discussing our shrug and how far I've gotten and how far you are and whether or not you need to adjust your sizes to suit. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you do so well for me. And guess what, guys? Ciao for now.